President Uhuru Kenyatta left the country this morning for a one-day official visit to Juba, South Sudan, where he is set to attend the Intergovernmental Authority on Development IGAD Summit. The plane carrying the president and his delegation departed the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport shortly after 9 a.m. The president was seen off by the Deputy President William Ruto and other senior government officials. In his capacity as president, the current chairman of the East African Community and the rapporteur of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development has continuously affirmed Kenya's commitment to a speedy resolution to the South Sudan conflict. The Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution has moved to court seeking to stop the National Assembly's Oversight Committee from summoning cabinet secretaries. The CIC, in its application, which was filed under a certificate of urgency, wants the court to stop the Oversight Committee from summoning cabinet secretaries to answer questions on the operations of their ministries. The application by the CIC has been placed before the Constitutional and Human Rights Division of the High Court for directions. Last week, Lands Cabinet Secretary appeared before the National Assembly to answer questions on the Lands Ministry. The CIC and the Attorney General have opposed the move to have Cabinet Secretaries appear before the National Assembly, arguing that it is unconstitutional.
There's no bad blood. And to be done differently, and they think should be done in their own way. That's why
only a member of the House Business Committee. But all these colleagues of mine are members of various committees. Impeaching a cabinet secretary is a process in the constitution. But let us take it as a matter of goodwill.
But my wish is you continue the way you want to continue so that you disappear from the scene. Mr. Speaker,
we are here on a serious matters, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy if issues are to be addressed.
We are sitting here waiting for them to appear before us. And I think, Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is very, very clear as to who takes...
KISUMU County Speaker Anne Adul has been impeached in what seems to be a continuation of wrangles in the Assembly. The MCAs chose to suspend a debate on the county's finance bill in order to make sure that Anne Adul was thrown out. In an impeachment motion moved by West Nyakach Ward Representative James Omolo, Adul was removed on 7 grounds, including allegations of abuse of office and lack of integrity for having blocked an investigative report by Public Investments Committee PIC and the Public Accounts Committee PAC at county level that the MCAs claim implicate her and the County Assembly Service Board in corrupt activities. The MCAs also accuse Mrs. Adul of recklessly abandoning the Assembly while on session without any formal adjournment.
We have a very serious motion in the name of KISUMU County Finance that we want to get in person. Let us go straight to what we are supposed to do. We revert to the plenary, we go to voting, we send a rule home, then we come back and do what was necessary.
It's going to be very fair. In any case, if she could have been here to defend herself, something might have happened. You never know. Yeah. Some miracle could have happened.
I now declare that the Speaker of County Assembly of KISUMU, Madam Anne Adul, has been impeached by this House today, the 21st October 2014.
Leaders from the Kenyan Women Parliamentary Association say they will represent a united front and take up the leadership positions come 2017. The women leaders say they will push for an increase of 30% allocation of slots and form their own committees within the executive and parliament.
Anything that is in the pocket of a woman will support the family. Anything that is in the pocket of our
other people, you know where it ends up. We must come up with strategies on how we are going to increase our numbers, how we are going to ensure that the policies that have been put in place are going to be implemented. We even need to have our own committee, both in Parliament and executive, to check exactly on the implementation on the issues that affect women.
Students of the Dedan Kimathi University yesterday went on rampage barely days after they returned to school after an earlier demonstration that led to the closure of the school. The students were lamenting over the alleged failure of the institution to spearhead certification of its nursing and engineering courses, forcing them to undertake additional courses after graduation. Police had a rough time containing the students who had temporarily blocked the Nyeri-Nyahururu highway before retreating into the institution where they damaged property of unknown value. A group of students had earlier been suspended over a protest over alleged delay of higher education loans board funds. Now, moving on to other stories. In Ebola-hit communities in West Africa, hope of stopping the deadly virus may seem far away at times. But across our border in Uganda, villagers who survived an outbreak 2 years ago describe how after the loss, the rebuilding of communities is tough and painful, but possible.
The ongoing Ebola epidemic sweeping West Africa is yet to hit Uganda. But Murgawa Sabiti, who lives just outside the capital Kampala, knows the virus all too well. He contracted Ebola from his brother in October 2012, spending the best part of the next month fighting for his life.
First, blood started to come out from everywhere, from every single part of my body. It was horrible. At the time, I was with a relative, and they took me to Malago Hospital, where they helped me.
Murgawa's wife, brother, sister and sister-in-law all caught Ebola and all died. He now lives with his mother, who refers to the period as the tragedy. Although grateful to be alive, the virus took a toll on his finances as well as his health.
When I was sick, I spent all the money I had to treat my family and myself. I even had to borrow money from friends. When I came back from the hospital, I had to pay the money back. I sold everything I had.
Murgawa was initially shunned by his community. He had to appeal to doctors to convince his neighbours that he was no longer infectious because suspicion around the virus is rife.
People in the area, first they thought it was from the witch doctors. So the first people who got that Ebola, they took them to the witch doctors to see that they can be treated from there. So we didn't know that it was Ebola.
Murgawa was treated at Malago Hospital in Kampala, where today health workers are on high alert should cases of Ebola re-emerge.
I don't scare people, but I give the truth. Okay?
Although there hasn't been a case of Ebola in Uganda since 2012, when up to 14 people died, Ugandan health officials were monitoring 5 people after one man died in September from the Ebola-like Marburg virus, which, like Ebola, is spread through bodily fluids. For Murgawa, the re-emergence of Ebola in Africa brings back the tragedy of the past and fresh fears for the future.
Coming back home, the Transitional Authority chairperson Kimathi Wamwangi has cautioned individuals trying to hinder the effectiveness of the devolved health function to keep off, saying the function cannot be reverted back to the national government. The chairperson stated that the transition process was over and his current prerogative is to assess effectiveness of devolved governments. He lauded most counties for picking up well after taking over devolved functions, including health. Wamwangi says he will soon present a recommendation report about the progress of counties on health development before the Senate and other state arms to prove to them that there is no reason to revert the function to the national government.
I'm warning anybody who is trying to defeat the transferred function of health so that it can be returned to government. It's not going to be returned. And I wanted to send the Honorable Mungo and tell him to wait until I prepare a report. I want to go and meet the health committee of both Senate and the National Assembly with a report that the TA is preparing. And say health is working and working very well. And in fact, we inherited, I say we the county governments, we inherited dilapidated institutions. They have been restored. I have been to Turkana, I have been everywhere. They have built new institutions of health and they're improving on drug supply. So wananchi, support your leaders so that we have these health institutions and the hospitals well managed. And already people who are running away from this hospital now, they are coming from all over the region.
To an interesting bit, Ikolomani, home of the popular traditional sporting activity, bullfighting, yesterday witnessed a rare funeral ceremony. The Ngusu clan of the Idaho Luya sub-tribe treated villagers to a unique kind of burial where an elderly man was laid to rest while seated. KTN's Francis Ontoma attended that burial and now reports on a send-off that left many tangs wagging.
It was the final journey for 62-year-old Mzee Adriano Alucio. Droves of people made their way into his Shikombelo homestead to pay their last respect. Curiously though, this was not going to be a typical send-off. The Ngusu clan of the Idaho people were planning for a final surprise, at least to those outside this setting. Traditions among this Luya sub-tribe demands that a man of high social standing must be buried while seated. And the casket too was something unique. Some were amused, some were not, but the elders stuck to their guns anyway.
Hii masishi ya kinamna kukalisha mtu mkubwa mzee kama huyu ni kitu ambayo ilianza zamani sana. Ilianzia kutoka MUMIAS kwa Mumia Mgongo. Na sisi watu kabila hii tulitoka upande ya Uanga. Na tumekuja na hiyo mtindo mpaka wakati huu.
Wasasi wetu wakale walisikwa kama wameketi. Na hapo sio kimila. Mimi mwenyewe ni Mkristo. Tulichunguza tukaona kimila kuna hapo. Tunasikwa kwa sanduku kwa mbao.
Among the Ngusu clan of the Idaho, this practice runs deeper than just its face value. It connects the living and the dead. And for a simple interpretation, even in his death, Mzee Adriano will be watching over his family. And who unto you should you harbor evil conspiracies against his descendants?
Tukisika tu mtu kabla kama haketi au mjana tumuona kitembea. Tumemsika lazima awe asikwe kama ameketi. Kusudi ya kusikwa kama anaketi, tumeona pastor akisema ya kwamba anaangalia nyumba yake.
They found the traditions in place and they have to live with them. And for the late to fit well into this casket, the elders reveal a special conversation must take place between the elders and the deceased.
Sisi wenyewe tunajua fursa na kanisa. Tunachukua mkono tunaweka hapa, miguu tunaweka kwa chini, alafu sasa mwenyewe anakaa. Hapa naweka hapa kibao, hawabusu kwangu na manii, na mkono ikuwa na manii.
Brother Columbus Odhiambo, the man in charge of the mass, was for a moment caught in a catch-22 situation. On one hand was his Bible, and on the other deep engraved Idaho traditions. He requires some sort of Solomonic wisdom not to hide either side. He treaded carefully.
Rudi katika mila na desturi, ili hali injili yake Kristo yastahili kutuokoa, kutuondoa katika mila na desturi ambazo hazituongozi popote, ila zaturudisha katika giza.
After the service, the body was lowered down the grave, but this was not going to be the end of affairs. In fact, another rigorous chapter was just opening. It was time to send away the evil spirits, and the bulls took to the stage, as if to gouge away dark forces. The battle scene was right on top of Mzee Adriano's grave. Among the Anguso clan of the Bashistulu people of the Luya community, Mzee Adriano has been accorded a perfect send-off, one that befits his social stature. And according to the elders, this now connects him directly with the world of the ancestors. Francis Ontomwa, KTN, Ikolomani.
The bulls definitely know what they're supposed to do. Well, coming back here in Nairobi, the Director of Surveys has today appeared before the Lenny Kivuti-led Senate Committee on Lands to make clarifications on the KONZA city location. The land in question has had challenges in establishing its location. The meeting was planned after the Cabinet Secretary, Charity Ngilu, appeared before the committee declaring the land to be in Machakos County. The Director of Surveys said that the land is located in Machakos County according to the 1992 Act of Parliament through its amendment in the year 1996 and 1997. Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. has described the amendments unconstitutional.
There were so many issues that were coming up as to where the boundary between Makueni and Machakos is vis-a-vis the location of KONZA Technocity. We would like an assurance that there will be development control within that area from now on. And I want the Director of Physical Planning to be on record and to tell us how the ministry will enforce development control.
The description of the 47 counties as per the Constitution followed the 1992 Act, which we are all aware. And therefore, this question that we have presented to the Senate in respect of Makueni and Machakos is important because it not only determines what is the exact position of the law, and whether or not the changes that were made subsequently have been adopted in the Constitution.
We take a short commercial break. Don't go away. Business and sports up next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's start with business. MUMIAS Sugar Company is to close down operations for the next 45 days to allow maintenance works go on at the miller, dismissing claims the shutdown was accrued to cash flow problems. According to the Managing Director, Kurtz Otolo, the closure is due to shortage of cane that is at the moment too young to be harvested and the need to conduct annual maintenance that is meant to cost 1.5 billion shillings. MUMIAS Sugar Company that has suffered pre-tax losses to the tune of 2.7 billion shillings in the last year has been operating at 70% of its daily cane crushing capacity of 8,000 tons, despite shedding a third of its value over the past 6 months and being the worst performing stock at the Nairobi's Security Exchange. Over the period, the miller will in the meantime rely on power cogeneration and bottled water avenues for revenue. The MD also dispelled fears that the current cash flow problems forced the management to suspend operations, adding they had mobilized the funds for maintenance of the milling plant. Family Bank is planning to tap its shareholders to raise 3.1 billion shillings through a rights issue that opened on the 14th of October and will close on the 28th of November. The issue is targeted at the bank's 6,000 shareholders and will see the bank sell an additional 125 million shares priced at 25 shillings. This is a discount compared to the current over-the-counter price of 32 shillings per share. The bank says it will use the money raised to meet central bank's new capital adequacy requirements, fund its expansion plan and upgrade its infrastructure as it prepares to become a Tier 1 bank by 2017.
The central bank has put in new buffers in terms of the capital adequacy ratios. So into 2015 January, what you expect is that the capital requirements from banks will be higher. That's one. Number two, we've got our expansion. And our expansion plans clearly call for more capital. And expansion, it is in terms of the footprint, the branches, the virtual bank channels. And the third one is in terms of upscaling our IT capacity.
Actually, in certain parameters, we've actually become a Tier 1 bank. Number of branches, we are top 5. Number of customers, we are already top 5. So we're already in Tier 1. So it's only achieving the other 3 parameters in terms of the total assets. Next year, you saw the projections are 63 billion, which is very, very achievable. Next year, but one, that is in 2016, then we hit 80 billion. And then into 2017, will be way above the 100 billion.
We are timing it nicely so that when we list, the existing shareholders will have the maximum value. So, but we do hope to list in not very long time from here.
That's why we wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Betty Kialo. Keep it KTN.